The invocation will be given by Father Wissam Akki, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from the St. Joseph Maronite Catholic Church. If you can, please stand.
Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and forever. Amen. Our Father and our God, we praise you for your goodness to our city, Phoenix, giving us blessings far beyond what we deserve. Yet we know all is not right with the city of Phoenix. We deeply need a moral and spiritual renewal to help us meet the many problems we face. Keep us away from sin. Help us to turn to you in repentance and faith. Set our feet on the path of your righteousness and peace. We pray today for our city's leaders. Help them to make the right decision, that it will help the people and the city to grow and flourish. Give them the wisdom to know God's presence in their daily life and rely on Him by making the right decision. Give them the courage to do your work and work together to improve the quality of life and promote peace for all the citizens in the city and throughout Arizona. You have said, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." May this be a new era for Phoenix as we humble ourselves and acknowledge you alone as our Savior and Lord. O Jesus Christ, our Lord, bless the members who are meeting. Send upon them the gifts of your Holy Spirit, that they may be enriched and their hearts may be enlightened. May they keep your life-giving commandments. Grant them to do your ways. Deliver them from harm caused by adverse spirits. Send them your angels of security, peace, and love, that they may be for you a blessed people and compete in good deeds and virtues. Then they shall glorify and thank you, your Father and your Holy Spirit, now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Father.
Thank you.
The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Bill Gates.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilwoman Gallego.
Here.
Councilman Gates.
Here.
Councilman Nowakowski.
Here.
Councilwoman Pastor.
Here.
Councilman Valenzuela.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Waring. Mayor Stanton.
Here. Ms. Marquez is our interpreter here today. Please introduce yourself for the audience.
Mi nombre es Leticia Márquez. Si necesita asistencia a traducción al español, por favor, me llame. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Before we move on with the agenda, we have a couple special guests that are here. They are Alex and Bill Fessler, a troop leader and member of Troop 127 in Boy Scouts in North Central Phoenix in District 6, Councilman DeCiccio's district. So thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Hopefully it'll be a good education today. Anyway, I appreciate good work with you as a neighborhood leader and as scout leader as well. Next on the agenda, City Clerk will read the 24-hour paragraph.
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances number G5953 through G5954, S41177, S41179, S41190, and S411209 through S41241, and resolutions number 21260 through 21261.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is boards and commissions. Do we have a motion on boards and commissions?
Motion to approve mayor's boards and commission nominations as revised.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And I think we have citizens here who are here to be sworn in for their service on boards and commissions. So I'll come down to my right, your left. we'll have you sworn in, make it official, and then please come behind the dais, and the individual council members like to say thank you for your service to the people of Phoenix.
Oh, okay, yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, so all I'm doing is just moving 28. Well, actually, I'll leave that, no. Yep.
Please, everyone, raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of according to the best of my ability. So help me God. You're official. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Appreciate you doing that. That's right.
All right, next on the agenda are our liquor license application proposals. Vice Mayor, do we have a omnibus motion on liquor licenses?
Move approval items 1 through 27.
We have a motion, we have a second. I have cards on 4, 5, 6, 9, 16, 18, 19, 23, 27, all in favor, not wishing to speak, so in support of the motion. So we won't hear from those folks, but make sure they get registered for the record. Any comments by members of the council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is a liquor license item that is recommended for disapproval. It is in District 7. Councilman Nowakowski, do you wish to hear a staff presentation on this item, Councilman? It is the Gus's New York Pizza in District 7.
They're asking for a continuance at this time?
Okay, do you want a motion for continuance?
I just want some clarification.
Mayor, members of the council, my name is Denise Archibald with the City Clerk Department. The applicant has requested a continuance to the November 5th council meeting, and the required waiver is on file.
So Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to continue to our next scheduled council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion for continuance. We have a second. The cards were Naveen Ali, the applicant. Are you okay with the continuance? And Detective Armstrong, thank you very much for coming, and your recommendation is noted for the record. Obviously, we'll be inviting you back at the next meeting to provide testimony. The motion is for continuance. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item number 29, ratification of PHO. Vice Mayor, do we have a motion on 29?
Move to approve item 29.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any cards on that item? Any comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 30 is it a public hearing? No. Okay. Item number 30 is additions to Chapter 43 of the City of Phoenix Procurement Code. This is begin in haste to going to the e-procurement, something that Councilman Gates and many others have worked very hard on. Councilman, you want to make the motion on item 30? Oh, I'm sorry, City Clerk reads the title, then motion. I apologize.
Ordinance number G 5953, an ordinance amending the Phoenix City Code to add a new chapter, Chapter 43, entitled Procurement.
That was it? All right. Councilman Gates.
Mayor, I move approval of item 30, and I'd just like to thank several of my colleagues for their leadership on this issue, particularly Vice Mayor Waring, who's made this a real focus of his, brought his experience from the state where they do have a procurement code, and bringing that to bear here at the City of Phoenix.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Greta Rogers, you should provide testimony on item number 30. Ms. Rogers? Going once? Going twice? Any additional comments by members of this council on the issue of the proposed Phoenix Procurement Code? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, roll call. I apologize. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates. Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item are ordinances and resolutions. Vice Mayor, are you prepared with an omnibus motion on ordinances and resolutions? I'm not. We're not? Okay. Take a second.
So is that 35 all of them? We're ready?
The floor is yours, Vice Mayor.
I move that items 31 through 68, being ordinances number G-5954, S-41177, S-41179, S-41190, S-41209 through S-41241, and resolutions 21260 and 21261 be adopted, except items 32, 33, 34, 35F, 35J, 35K, 37, 43, 44, 53, 54, which will have to be as corrected, 55, and 57 be adopted. Excuse me. Noting that items 31 and 46 are requested to be continued to November 5th, 2014. Item 54 is as corrected. I'm sorry, we pulled out item 54, so scratch that. And item 66.1 is an add-on, and that's it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on this council?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Williams. Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is item number 32.
I'd like to declare a potential conflict.
Do we have a motion on 32?
Move to approve item 32.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second, noting that Councilwoman Gallego has a potential conflict and will not be participating in the vote. Any cards? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gates. Noakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is item number 33, Sky Harbor T3 Modernization One-Step Design Build Construction Contract Award. Is Danny Murphy here? Give a short presentation on this item. And they have comments by Councilman Nowakowski and DeCiccio and any other council members that would like to comments. Do we have any cards in the aisle?
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm Danny Murphy, the Aviation Director, and joining me is Tammy Fisher, one of the Assistant Aviation Directors. Mayor, item 33 is a request to enter into a contract with Hunt Austin to provide construction services for the Terminal 3 modernization project. Component 1 of this project will redevelop the main terminal building, consolidate security checkpoints, improve ticket counters, baggage carousels, and provide new food and beverage locations, as well as renew infrastructure such as baggage handling systems, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. The $103 million contract is for the first part of Component 1 for enabling projects, including the relocation of airlines, purchase of long lead items, relocation of aviation employees, and other construction-related activities. Mayor, I know there's been a great deal of focus on staff's estimate of the $1.9 million for the 2-week continuance for this particular construction contract that we're talking about today. The $1.9 million estimate was based on not starting the construction phase of the project on October 1st and extending it for 2 weeks until the end of the project in 2020. I did not do a good job last week in talking with the council and articulating that almost every multi-year project of this nature, in fact, this project will not be completed until 2020, almost all multi-year projects almost always have project delays, some caused by the owner and some caused by the contractor. The $1.9 million is a budgetary estimate of the cost for that 2-week delay, and I have every expectation that we'll be able to work with the contractor to minimize or possibly eliminate the impact of this delay and the cost of the project. In fact, the aviation staff has already talked with the contractor, and they are quite confident that these delay costs can be reduced significantly by finding future design and construction efficiencies and to further optimize the project schedules. I also appreciate the extra time to provide additional information to some of the council members and the mayor about the project and the staff's commitment to manage it with minimal impact to our customers, our airline partners, and other business partners during major events such as Super Bowl, holiday season, and other very busy times at the airport. Almost every day is busy at the airport. In addition, I know, Mayor, that you had some concerns, and several of the other council people, about the aviation director and the executive management team not being located in the new Terminal 3, and the new Terminal 3 redesign now includes offices for the director and assistant directors, as well as conference rooms, to ensure that there will always be a presence of the executive team readily available to assist customers and make sure that we continue to be America's friendliest airport. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Councilman Nowakowski?
Mayor, 2 weeks ago, I asked for a continuance, and first of all, I want to start off by thanking staff. I had a list of questions that I wanted to answer, and they addressed all those issues, and I felt very confident they would be able to. But these were some concerns that I had regarding security and other issues at the airport. Seeing that the holiday season's coming around and seeing that we're actually having one of the world's biggest events here in Phoenix, I wanted to make sure that we continue being that safe and friendly airport that Sky Harbor is known for. And also having a $6 million project, that's a $600 million project, that's a lot of money, and we want to make sure that being the 10th busiest airport in the country, that nothing's interrupted during that time. During the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of people accusing that I wasn't giving out details of why I was delaying or asking for a continuance. And basically, it's really simple. It's about safety. It's the safety of our airport. You know, over the last year or so, and being the chairperson of the Public Safety Subcommittee, hearing about an individual sitting in one of our Starbucks with a machine gun concerns me. Having a woman drive up into one of our runways concerns me. Just last month, there was an individual that was running through our airport, and we had to actually close down the terminal for a while. So all those incidents concerned me about the safety, and basically also moving some of our staff out of that third terminal concerned me also. So after sitting down and addressing some of those issues with our staff, and I feel very comfortable. I feel very comfortable that we should be moving on with this. But saying all that, this whole thing was about safety. It's about making sure that $600 million project, that's a lot of money over 6 years, that it's a long construction period of time, that we answer all those questions, and that everyone on this council feels comfortable in voting for such a large amount of money. Now, it's been stated many times, that it's costing the city of Phoenix taxpayers $1.9 million in tax revenue. I know that you clarified it, but I just want to go a little bit more in details. We've talked about the $1,170,000 in the design team cost, and this is the cost for the members of Hunt and Austin joint venture team, as well as the general contractor for trailers, supplies, and vehicles and all that. So my question to you is the let's just round it out to 1.2 million expenses to be paid out. These would have been paid out regardless of the delay or not, right?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, those figures will be paid out as the project continues to move forward.
But I mean, there's not going to be an additional 1.2 million. That was something that was budgeted in that larger projection, right?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, we're going to work very hard to minimize and hopefully eliminate those costs. They will be other costs because of the delay, but we're going to work really hard. And again, as I stated in my earlier comments, we've already worked with the contractor, and we're very confident that we're going to be able to minimize those costs over these next years.
Another question is, what you're calling costs, I really believe that it's what I would be calling delays. And it would have been a cost that we would have actually paid out anyways. I don't think we're going to be increasing the $600 million project and our budget in this project by 1.9 million or anything like that. Is that true or not?
Yeah. Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, I think we're going to work very hard with the contractor to ensure that those costs are minimized. I'm very hopeful that we can eliminate the additional cost by optimizing schedules, working through the project. Ms. Fisher and our project management teams on the project are very focused on that, and so I'm very confident that we're going to be able to do that over these next few years.
Danny, the other thing too is that I heard that there was going to be about $168,000 extra costs for our city staff working on this project because of the delay. Is that right?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, those were our best estimates of staff time and overhead of people working on the project. And again, the basis of the $1.9 million was a 2-week extension if we didn't start on October 1st, but continuing it until 2020. So people who would be charging time during that period, if we're unable to make up the time, which I'm confident that we're going to work very hard to try to minimize as much as possible, it would be a cost if we worked 2 extra weeks on the project.
So my thing is going back on that $168,000 that were going towards city staff. Were those city staff members hired just for this project, and that they're actually sitting in an office for 2 weeks with no assignment, or were they existing city staff members that already had existing jobs and duties?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, no one sits at the airport and does nothing. We don't allow that, so
Correct.
everyone's quite busy. But those are staff. For instance, that includes some of my time, Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, as the director. A portion of my overhead is charged to that project. And so if the project continued for 2 weeks longer than we had originally scheduled, an additional portion of my time would have gone to that project in that period of time. And that's why we're going to work very hard to reduce that time so that in 2020 there won't be additional cost for that.
But
That
what
does also include
I
some
want to make sure
contractors.
that people out there know that we have staff members out there that have other responsibilities, other jobs out there, that they're not just sitting there, and we're paying people out that want $168,000, that they're not, that they actually do have other responsibilities.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski. All the staff associated with this are all billing time to other projects, and so they're continuing to work on other things while we're getting ready to move forward on this project.
And then the other thing that was brought to my attention was the $562,000 that was the escalating cost that reflects the cost of labor, materials, and the project result of the delay. So my question is, because of all this, we delayed these purchasing 2 weeks, so that's where we get the a little over $500,000 worth of expenses, right?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, that's correct.
So you don't believe that we would make this $500,000 up within the next 6 years?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, I'm very confident that we're going to work very hard. We have the commitment of the contractor to minimize these costs, all of the costs that you've described, as much as possible. Our goal is to eliminate those, work very hard on adjusting schedules and maybe overlapping things that we had not anticipated. And so I'm confident that we're going to be able to minimize that as much as possible. You have my assurance that we're going to work very hard to do that.
And Danny, what the cost for the extra labor and materials and all that, that's really an industry type of formula to forecast within the next 6 years or so. So it's not something that we, as the city of Phoenix, created, but it's an industry formula, right?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, yes, that is a number that through analysis is produced. That's probably very common in industry.
So it's safe to say these are projections, not actuals?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, they are all estimates.
Because 2 weeks ago, I bought gas and it was about $3.25, and this morning I was hearing on the news the gas is at $2.99 in some places. So the cost of gas actually went down. So this estimate can actually go down instead of go up, right? In 6 years, if the cost of lumber, steel, cement, and all that happens to turn around. So these are all just projections and estimates.
That
in
is
my
correct.
opinion.
Yes, sir.
You know, lastly, I just want to clarify that no tax dollars or no tax revenue is being used for this project. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, thank you for making that clear. These are fees from the airport. This is airport revenue fund, so there are no taxpayer dollars involved with this project or any project at the airport system.
So the statements out there that we as a council or the 5 individuals that actually voted to continue it is actually out there wasting tax dollars. It's not a true statement at this time, right? In your opinion?
Mayor and Councilman Nowakowski, yes, these are based on revenues and fees charged at the airport.
And once again, I just really want to thank our staff for their hard work in answering all those questions. Sitting here as a council member, we all have to be good stewards of our tax dollars, that each individual, every time they buy a product or something in the city of Phoenix, actually put into the general fund. And at the same time, we're good stewards of our airport funds that they have out there. And these are coming from their airport funds. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that it's not tax revenue based. It's actually coming from our airport. And the other thing is, this whole thing was about safety, making sure that our airport is safe, making sure that the transition was without any hiccups or any delays, and that we have the Super Bowl coming into the city of Phoenix, and then we need to make sure that everyone walking through that airport has that same experience as everyone else, that it's the friendliest and the best ran airport in the country, and I have all the faith in our staff that it'll continue to be that awesome airport that we have today. So thank you so much, and I'll be voting yes on this item.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman DeCiccio, you had comments?
I do, Mayor, and just one point of clarification on tax dollars. I mean, who owns the airport?
Mayor and Councilman DeCiccio, the City of Phoenix owns the aviation system.
Well, who is the City of Phoenix? It's the taxpayer, right? The citizens of the City of Phoenix, right?
Yes, Councilman.
Oh, yeah, and you can call me. You don't have to call me in the formal way. I'm not trying to pin you down or anything. But so when you're talking about tax dollars, you mean general fund dollars. These are still tax dollars. I mean, they're owned by the taxpayer, right? Fees are just another way of taxing the public, right?
Mayor.
I mean, I don't want to get into a big semantical debate, but I mean, realistically, the taxpayer owns the airport. They pay
Mayor,
for it.
Yeah, Mayor and Councilman DeCiccio, of course, the City of Phoenix owns the airport system. We refer to these as fees. These are fees and revenues generated at the airport, not general fund tax dollars. It is
General fund tax dollars. But I mean, let's say you take, I want to make sure we get this clear because, you know, when you've got to make sure you're on the arrow on point on this one though too. When you collect fees from the park system, fees for softball, are those tax dollars or are those something else?
Mayor and Councilman DeCiccio, I would have to defer to the city manager or the parks director. I'm not aware of.
You're talking about general fund dollars versus enterprise funds. Would that be just easier to say that?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, we generally distinguish fees are charges paid by people who use specific services. Some fees go to the general fund, like as you mentioned, softball or swimming or soccer. In the case of the airport, the fees, so for example, people pay for parking. That would be a fee for parking for someone who used the parking, and by federal law, that has to stay in the airport. So the fees can either be general fund or
Enterprise.
or an enterprise fund, yes.
Okay, but there's a bigger issue that I'm going to address here today, and it's no disrespect to anyone up here at all, but and this is more directed toward the mayor. You know, as a leader of the city, you have a responsibility to be upfront with the public and to not support maneuvers that accomplish these goals, your goals, behind closed doors at the expense of the public. What I am deeply disturbed by is the subterfuge that you had a hand in on this, especially in this project, this $103 million, one of the biggest economic development drivers in the city of Phoenix. Whether we can debate the 1.9 million, whether it's a savings or not, I mean, it's still an expense that eventually you're going to have to recover. And any savings that you create, you're going to take it from that. So it's still additional monies from the taxpayer. The problem that we've seen is we've seen these delays before, and we've seen threats of disapprovals on routine matters before, delays that serve only to help the unions and pressure employers. The law does not require union labor in the state of Arizona. We are a right-to-work state. Instead, there is a fair and open system which allows subcontractors, both union and non-union, to bid for work. If you think that the law should require a union shop be selected, that's a legitimate position, and one I strongly disagree with, but a legitimate position. And in that case, let's start having a dialogue of whether or not we should allow union work to be done on our contracts. I mean, or require union work on our contracts. If you believe that unionized contracting should be forced onto the private sector, please have the courage to say so, and let's have that debate. But don't simply do the union bidding behind the scenes and then send the taxpayer the bill. At least be upfront with the public. The public deserves open and transparency on our bidding process. So if we're going to require unions to do union work and require this upon the private sector contractors, then be upfront and let's have that debate. I think that is a legitimate debate for us to have, Mayor, and I believe you ought to schedule that at the next council meeting. Schedule it when you want to, but this needs to be done up front. It needs to be done in a transparent way, and we need to have a thorough discussion and debate on this issue instead of going behind closed doors at all times. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion?
I did. I also had a couple
Put the
comments.
motion on the table.
Okay. I move approval of item 33.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Vice Mayor.
Okay. So for Danny, where did the dollars come from that run the airport?
Mayor,
What's the major source of revenue that would be spent on this project?
Mayor and Councilman Waring, the funds come from the revenues generated at the airport. Parking is a large component of that. Obviously, our airline partners, business partners, the concessions, all the revenues that are paid at the airport.
Because I thought I'd follow up on something Councilman DeCiccio said. It's disturbed me before, this has come up before, about whether it's tax dollars at the airport, and then we hear that a good chunk of the revenue comes from parking, which is paid for by our visitors or by people who live here to go pick people up, as I do frequently. So I would say those are taxpayers paying dollars. The less we can charge them, the better. The airlines, obviously, they don't do this out of the goodness of their heart. They're trying to make a buck, so when we increase their fees or we waste money that comes from them, they don't just willingly eat that, they pass that along to consumers. And some of those consumers, I think, live in my district, in District 2. And so it is tax dollars, so we owe it. That's why we're up here, is to try to make sure that the money is being spent efficiently. So we get into this, whether it's tax dollars or not, it's definitely dollars coming from taxpayers. We'll put it a different way. We need to be cognizant of that. It's not your fault. We are the ones, I guess I voted against it, so 5 of us decided to delay this project. You're saying it's going to cost some money. I don't know what we got for those 2 weeks. I didn't see anything tangible. I see some contractors out in the audience. I know Mark Minter, who was quoted in the paper today, is a long constituent of mine. I've known him for many years. You know, they just want to work. We've got kind of a up and down economy right now. We discussed that at either the last meeting or the meeting before, certainly at the policy meetings, and it just gets frustrating anytime we do something that doesn't seem efficient or effective. Again, you guys brought a plan forward. My first meeting with you about this, we checked, was March 26th of 2013. So it was 18 months ago. Big articles in the paper about this. I thought they did a nice job of covering the issue before we had this issue. And it's just unfortunate that things get delayed a little bit. But I did want to address the issue of whether this is tax dollars or not. It absolutely is. So if you're watching at home, unless you never, ever go to the airport and really don't have any family members or anybody going to the airport, which I suspect is basically nobody who lives in Phoenix, you're footing the bill for some of this. Whether it's 500 grand, whether it's 125 grand, whether it's 1.9 million, you know, we delayed something for a couple weeks when a project that sounds like could have gotten up and running and everything, and that was a source of frustration for some of us. So I think now it sounds like at least one vote is switched, so it's going to be at least 5-4 in favor, and we're going to get going. I hope you can make up the difference. I think we owe it to taxpayers to try, but it was a source of frustration. I think some of that spilled out in the paper, and I think the contractors highlighted that, and I think they were right to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Yes. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
I have a comment.
Please.
So Danny, I really like to thank you for all your service. And this is one of your last meetings, so I don't know if this is the last meeting, but I would like to thank you for everything you've done and all the service. My vote is yes.
Thank you very much. Very classy thing to say. Please, next. Roll call.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
I want to echo what was just said. Danny is the best, and you have done so much for the city of Phoenix and for that airport. I can't say enough good things about you. Wish you the very, very best, and sorry to see you go. Yes.
Danny Murphy is the best, right, Thelda? I've been waiting for Thelda to say this for a long time. And
I hate to disillusion you, dear, but I'm talking to Danny Murphy.
oh, okay, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting.
Waring.
Thank you. I would have said something myself I didn't realize I knew, but I didn't know if you had made that public. But we haven't always agreed on the issues, but I've enjoyed working with you very much. I think you've done a great job, and it's a big loss for the city. And certainly my comments here were not directed at you at all, as I think you understand. You're announcing your retirement probably explains why you look so pleased just sitting there, sitting there knowing that some of this will not be coming your way in the future. So I vote aye.
Mayor Stanton.
Thank you very much, and I know I speak on behalf of everyone. Danny Murphy is one of the most well-respected airport directors in the United States of America. He has the job offers from other large airports to show for it, and a great leader of the airport. And great leaders not only cultivate followers, but more importantly, they cultivate other great leaders. And I know you leave, one of your legacies will be the leadership team that you're leaving behind at Sky Harbor Airport. So very sad day in terms of the decision that you've made, but we can't say anything but wonderful things about your leadership, and I vote aye. So the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item number 34, Flexible Spending Account Administration. Councilor Nowakowski, you had comments on 34? We have professional staff, please.
So basically, I just wanted to make sure that was our employees informed that we're going to be using this, these fundings for this program, or can you hear me now? Already. You know, I just want to make sure that our employees actually knew that the monies that aren't going to be rolled back into the previous year or whatever, that they're going to be used for a software program. Are they aware of that?
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, our employees will be notified in the open enrollment guide, and there is no requirement that we return funds to employees. We do that, you know, really out of the goodness of our heart, and if there is enough money to refund to city employees. So there's been many years in the past when we run a calculation, and if the formula isn't enough, that there are no returned funds.
I thought there was a law that passed in 2014 that allows, I guess it allows us to up to $500, right? That could be rolled over.
It can be rolled over from year to year. We don't do that program here at the City of Phoenix. We don't do that rollover program.
All right, so I mean, I'm kind of confused because it says that, let me look exactly where because I was thinking that that our employees were actually receiving that benefit of being able to roll it over.
No, they are not. Ours is a use it or lose it program that we run here, so you have to use your funds by December 31st.
All righty. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Any other questions by members of the council? Councilman Pastor?
Is it possible to make that policy? Create that policy? Or
Mayor,
anything?
Councilman Pastor, I'm assuming that you're asking if we could allow for that additional rollover provision. We could in our program, but it is administratively very burdensome, and based on the staff cuts that we've had in the last few years, it would be a huge burden on staff to do that process.
Do you want to continue this item and get more information?
Oh.
I would, Mayor.
I would too.
Okay, so we have
$1.9 million.
Well, yeah.
Does this cost anything?
Does it cost anything to roll over that?
I'm not sure.
Sorry.
I think she was
think it's
kidding.
okay.
Yeah. So we have a motion to continue. I think we have multiple motions. So I'll treat that as a second so various council members can get more information on this item. I guess the question is, does the timing present an issue for the program? If we were to delay it for 2 weeks, I guess, for the next meeting, can we do 2 weeks?
It does. We are, on Monday of next week, we'll start our open enrollment period. So this is information that we will communicate during open enrollment. If we delay it for 2 weeks, it's just additional communication that we'll have to do out to participants that enroll in the FlexRap program.
So this is a program where individual employees can elect to defer some amount of money for their expected medical expenses. So in my case, if my daughter's going to have braces, I know it's going to cost so much money in that year, I will defer that amount of money and then be repaid. It's taken out before taxes, so it saves the city money and the employee. If I don't use that money in the year, then I lose it. I have to determine to use it. What this does is it takes it from a city staff member administering this and all the paper that comes into Mary's office and gets shuffled around, and then we write a check to employees. It moves it to a professional company that does this for a living, and they actually will start using debit cards for employees, so the reimbursement will be quicker for employees. It's really an advantage for employees. So it's different from other programs.
I'm assuming that the concerns of the members of the council is less that side of it and more the use it or lose it aspect
Right.
of the program. And I don't know if that's a decision we can make between now and when open enrollment begins.
So the use it or lose it piece has been consistent in this program for as long as I can remember.
24 years that I know
24
of.
years. So employees know going in that they need to estimate accurately, and if they don't, that they will not get that money back. What has happened is, in some years when we have money, we'll distribute it evenly to everybody. Now we're going to use that money to pay for this professional administration of the program.
The question really is, I don't think there's any opposition to moving forward with the administrative side of it, including the debit card side of it.
Right.
I think council members may want to have some input or discussion with professional staff about the use it or lose it side of it. But I don't know, can we move forward today with the debit card and administrative side of it, or is it all? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the FlexWrap program is part of the open enrollment, which starts on Monday.
Correct.
And so employees have to sign up starting Monday through November to say how much money they're going to elect to go into that. So the timing here is a little difficult. I mean, if we waited till November 5th to get this contract, we would just be catching up at the end to try and get people back to understand it.
I guess I'll leave it up to the council members whether they want to move forward with this today and then ask questions for future enrollment periods. Councilwoman.
You want me to go?
Councilwoman Pastor, please.
So here's where my dynamic is. That is fine in the sense if we move it forward. I would like us to look at within this year the piece of rolling it over, because it's obviously being administered by a company. So I think we ask those questions to the company of how hard it is to administer it. I think we look at that in a bigger picture. The other dynamic is when this money, at the end of the year, it is, there's so much money, I'm just going to say, I shouldn't even say anything, zero. That money is going to pay for this administration, or is it also going to pay for additional stuff? Just the software?
Yes.
Mayor and Councilman Pastor, it would pay for the administration of this program
That's
is all
what
it
I
can be used
And to the
for.
councilman's first point, it's a good one, and actually it's why Miss Kyle is in her job is to look for innovative ways on benefits. So absolutely, this whole question about the rollover versus the way it's done now is something we can explore with the vendor through this next year. We're going to be doing a lot of exploration of healthcare benefits, and we'll put that into that mix.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor? Thank you very much, Councilman.
Yeah, employers now can, basically allow you to roll over $500, approximately $500. What is the law? Is it $500 you're allowed to roll over? What would be the reason not to allow employees the ability to roll over?
Mayor,
500. Let's say-
Councilman DeCiccio, it's because of the way that you have to work that rollover, in that you have to use that money first before you can tap into the next year's funds. And so it just becomes very difficult to do when you have money going in every pay period as your contributions in there, and you have money coming out. It's just the accounting of that becomes burdensome.
City Manager.
Yeah,
City
Mayor,
Manager wants to
Councilman
address that.
DeCiccio, these are all good questions, and I apologize I didn't explain our timing better. I think these questions are good about this, but because we are right up on the time when we have to get people enrolled, it's probably a question that's better to consider for the 2016 year, which we would be doing about a year from now. And so to those questions that are asked, I think that's something we ought to really look into. We've been talking a great deal with the Finance Efficiency Subcommittee about these benefits. We could bring that discussion back there. And if it's something the council wanted to do, it would be best implemented for the 2016 year, which would happen next fall.
Yeah, I do have follow-ups on that. I mean, generally, the rollovers occur at the end of the year anyways, right? So it gives us a full 12 months to be able to plan for that $500 rollover. What I'm not understanding is that why wouldn't we just vote in the $500 rollover today, include that in part of it, knowing that you've got a full almost basically at least 11 months to figure it out? Why wouldn't we do that? Is there like an additional expense that we don't know about, or is it's not an uncommon thing to allow employees the ability to roll over?
Mayor and Councilman DeCiccio, I don't know as though I can answer that question for you today, because when we talked to the vendor about using the contract that we have with Pima County, we told them that our plan was not a rollover plan, that it was a use it or lose it 12-month plan. So I can't accurately answer that question for you, that if we were to do that, there would be an additional cost.
It was the design that was set up. I mean, but we can change that. I mean, I've got to tell you, from my end of it, I don't see the advantage of not allowing employees the ability to roll over. A lot of companies do that. I'm okay just letting everyone else know to require the $500 rollover if everybody else is okay.
I think the issue, Mayor Councilman DeCiccio, I think our issue is we don't know administratively what it's going to require of us. If there's extra cost to it, we'd have to communicate it to the employees. And we are right now at the time where we should be doing that. And so I think it would be better from a staff perspective if we were able to do more research on it, develop a proposal and bring it back to you all. And by the time we were able to do that, it would be for the next calendar year.
And Mayor, I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all. I'm just trying to dig a little deeper. Is that, I mean, it seems to me that you've got 11 months to figure it out, because the rollovers don't occur until the end of the year. They start planning for it today.
Sure. Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, I understand that, of course. The issue is you have to set the plan up at the front end and know what you're doing at the front end, which has to be implemented in this open enrollment period now. So we would know it by the end, but we wouldn't have set the program up in advance.
So I got the point.
We have to let the employee know the cost, We have to let the employee know the cost on the front end. And if we were to change the program, it might end up with additional cost to the employee. And if we don't tell them on the front end, they wouldn't have all the information they needed to decide whether to enroll in the program. I don't know.
Mayor, that is correct. The other thing that you
Yes.
have to do is you have to have your Section 125 plan set up per IRS guidelines prior to the start of your plan year. So even if we were to make this decision, we'd have to hurry now to get our plan changed for a January 1 effective date in order to be able to do that in the 2015 plan year.
Okay, I think what you're hearing is that probably multiple members of the council, myself included, are interested in what the implications, what the costs would be if we switched over to a more flexible plan for the employees. Councilman.
I don't mean to, I'm just literally drilling down on trying to understand. So there was a reason and logic to go one direction versus the other. I'm kind of curious what that direction or that reasoning was.
And not to allow the rollovers. It's basically just a
The
staffing.
24 history.
Right.
Well, by now, we all ought to know that nothing's ever the same up here. But just, is there a way, I mean, because I'd really like to keep that option open, especially for the lower level employees, if there's a way to do that. Is there a way to keep that option open for the employees as you're moving forward and change the system midway through, or no?
No.
Is it because of the notification
It's
part?
because of the IRS guidelines that you have in place for that.
Which are required to be done.
Correct.
It's kind of a pickle.
Okay, so no matter what we do, obviously, I think this item is going to go before Healthcare Task Force and then before Councilman Gates' Finance Efficiency Subcommittee, hearing that from multiple members of the council that we want to obviously learn the cost issues, but the desire to make it as flexible for our city employees as possible.
One last thing.
Of course.
Well, what I'd like to know too is whether or not that $85,000 is equivalent to what the rollovers could be that we expect to receive too. I mean, if we're using employee monies, I'd like to know why we're doing that. So I'd like to drill in to see where we are with the expected amount of monies. Well, basically give us a history in the last few years. That'd probably be better. Give us a history back, go 3 years. What amount of monies were collected by employees from their health care that were not rolled over? I'd like to know that.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion on the table on this one? Does anybody want to make a motion on for item number 34?
Second.
We have a motion for approval. We have a second. I think all the people that were interested in continuing, now that they know that there might be an additional cost to the individual employee, have chosen instead to send it back to the subcommittee to actually dig deeper into the issues that Councilman DeCiccio and others have brought up. So we have a motion. We have a second. Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Nowakowski, I apologize.
Clarification on the motion. What's the motion?
Motion is to support the staff recommendation. There is a second noting that the issues that Councilman DeCiccio and others have brought up about allowing the rollover for future years, even investigate the legal issue about doing it mid-year. So we'll investigate that as well. But that would be brought back to first the Healthcare Task Force and then Councilman Gates' subcommittee before it would come back before this council for further analysis and review.
There's no rollover this year, right? Okay.
And Mayor, I just don't know how comfortable I feel right now with this thing. It's just like you're using other people's money, OPM, without, just because it was standard in the past doesn't mean that it needs to be. Convince me, Ed, to do this. Because I want to do it, I want to be a team player on it, but at the same time I feel uncomfortable using other people's money on it.
Use the Jedi mind trick, Ed.
All right, so Councilman DeCiccio has asked Ed Zerger to convince him.
I know, I just feel uncomfortable the direction.
Anyway,
right.
Is there any additional explanation? And then, and then obviously you vote no for because of lack of clarification. That's fine too. Go ahead.
What I would say is that the program will continue very similar to the way employees are used to it and have been doing it for the last 24 years. Which doesn't mean that's the absolute right thing, but it's not a change for employees other than that they're going to see better service in getting their reimbursements faster and more conveniently. What I'm hearing is there's a great interest in some of the new options that are available to employees, and we need to bring that back and describe those. But our issue today is we're starting open enrollment for all of our folks, and so we either need to do this way now, or we're going to be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I'm yes.
And Mayor, I'm going to be voting no on it, and I'd like to explain why. Having
Please.
5 children under the age of 12, you go to the dentist, they say you need braces this year, you go back, and they say, well, you don't need braces after all, you can last another year or two, and then you put this money in the savings, and it's not rolled over to the previous year, and then you lose it. So I think that a lot of our employees are on a very tight budget, and they actually count on every single cent. So if individuals are counting on a dental or a medical or whatever, and they have to put it off for the following year, and they're not given that option of rolling it over, at least $500 of that, I think it's a hardship. So I'll be voting no on that reasoning.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Councilman Gates, please.
Mayor, I am going to be voting in favor of this. This is going to make life a lot easier for people who are now having to, get all these receipts and send them in. It's a big pain having done that in the past. The debit card is much easier. And also, actually, I'm really happy we're going to have this discussion because I think this will be an opportunity to shine a light on health savings accounts, which are also available for city employees, which allow for rollovers for many, way out into the future, and actually allows the monies to be invested in the stock market. So that's another great, which has been very underutilized by our employees. So I think this is going to be a good discussion. May add this rollover in this context, and then also maybe encouraging more people to do health savings accounts. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
I guess if we are going to be reviewing this program, I think we might also look at programs that would allow direct reimbursement from prescriptions without a card. I could see there, to me, I guess the card may be easier, but if you're going to Walgreens and you're buying one thing with one card and then another credit card, I would think that the programs that offer direct reimbursement would be even easier. So I think that should be on the table as well.
It's on the table, moving forward. Other comments? All right, roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
No.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes 8-1 with a few reluctant yeses, but pass 8-1. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 35F.
We have motion and second on 35F. Leonard Clark, quick comments? You here? Any additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Pastor. Valenzuela. Williams. Waring. Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Next item, Vice Mayor. How many of us we got?
Item 35J, I move approval.
We have a yes on 35J. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 35J. League of Cities dues. Any comments, members of this council? Oh, Ms. Barker, do you wish to provide testimony on J and K if you want to do both at the same time? Please come on down, up to 2 minutes. Well, why not, yeah.
I just, here we are, 1 year, and it seems like this was just yesterday that we were discussing this. League of Cities. I just wondered, I know Sal DeCiccio, councilman, was talking about all the dues that the city pays, and I just wondered if we negotiated this year. I see that the money we're giving to host that, I think it's probably beneficial, innovation and management, is monies that we've saved up from the 11th, but that was just, my inquiry, if there was any way we could reduce costs.
All right, thank you very much. You have an answer on what I think is please.
So item K is to use money that we had collected both from the National League of Cities Conference a few years ago and the International City Management Association Conference a couple years ago. We had some excess funds, and we're now rolling those into a third conference that will bring 600 people from throughout the United States to downtown Phoenix. And we will work with the League of Cities and Towns and the Alliance for Innovation to make sure that all costs are minimized to the greatest extent possible. But it does bring economic activity to downtown Phoenix.
Excellent. Roll call.
Mayor?
Oh, Councilman, please.
Just a quick one, too. I mean, and I have always brought up issues of membership dues. And there's some dues, like MAG dues, I have no problem because I can see the end result on that. With the League of Arizona Cities and Towns, it's questionable. I supported it last year, reluctantly as well, and I'm going to do that again today. We really need to get an idea of what we are getting out of the $73,000 we're paying in dues to the league. And one of the other things that I would like to get out of them, in the past they've been what I would consider to be anti-taxpayer type of positions that have gone contrary to the common man on the street. Hello, Ken. So, at least from my end, if it means you're going to be looking at alternative type of positions and look at things that protect taxpayers as a whole rather than governments as a whole, I'd like to have some say on that. And at least I'd like to have the ability to do that. I'll vote for it today, but reluctantly. The MAG dues, I totally get it, and I've been a strong supporter of theirs. They've been doing a really good bang-up job on it, too. I just think that the league, I didn't know you were here, but I'm glad you are here. You've been so geared toward one side that you don't allow the other side really to have a say in there. Or if they do have a say, it's manipulated or put in a certain direction that I think that is not favorable toward taxpayers. I'd like to see a little bit more openness with the league. Just more of a comment. You don't need to respond if you don't want to. It's your
All right,
call.
thank you very much. Any other comments by members of this council? Do we have Councilman Valenzuela, please?
Yeah, I support this, and not reluctantly. I am absolutely supportive of the City of Phoenix being a member of the Arizona League, City of Cities and Towns. A couple of things that many people may not be aware of, that the City of Phoenix's dues are broken down per capita, and so it's fair across the board. We have a larger contribution or payment, but when it comes to the per capita, and you compare Phoenix with the other cities and towns, it all breaks down to what it fairly should be. I especially want to thank the organization. I want to thank you, sir, for having the annual conference right here in Phoenix. The approximate benefit to the hotel and downtown businesses was $671,000, and that includes, of course, hotel conference center costs, hotel rooms, food and beverage. The approximate direct benefit to the City of Phoenix was $33,689, and we we appreciate that. It's not always in downtown. In fact, I don't know the last time it was ever in Phoenix, but especially, this year, on top of, I believe, getting the benefit that we do out of this partnership, it was nice to have the conference right here in Phoenix. It was nice to bring our colleagues from across the state to downtown Phoenix to show off downtown Phoenix. It's a different downtown than just a few years ago, and I appreciate all my colleagues who would support, whether it's reluctant or not. I think Councilman DeCiccio has some fair questions. Has always had some fair questions when it comes to any of the memberships that the city of Phoenix is involved with. But I for one am absolutely supportive. I was able to tell you that personally, and I say it publicly as well.
Thank you very much. Any other comments by members of the council? I too will be supporting his motion. Ken will say thank you to you and your professional staff. On the issue of TPT implementation, we have a very good result on that, that if it hadn't gone the other way, it would have been very hurtful to our small businesses in Phoenix, our contracting community. I know the League of Cities partnered with the Arizona General Contractors and other significant contractors to protect their interests, to make sure that it wasn't implemented in a way that could hurt them, could hurt their customers, obviously hurt the revenues of the city of Phoenix. And we're going to have a tough session, and we're going to need the league and the partnership of the league as much as possible, making sure that we're doing all we can to protect state share revenue and other key issues, but in particular protecting state share revenue in light of the budget situation of the state. So we're going to need our partnership with you more than ever going into this session. Any other comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes on an 8-1 vote. Next item, Vice Mayor.
I'd move approval of item 35K.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second, and I think Diane Barker provided her comments on both 35J and K. Thank you for doing that. Any comments by members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passes 8-1. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Mayor,
Councilman Williams.
I would move approval of item 37.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments by members of the council? Any cards? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passed 8-1. Next item, Vice Mayor. Oh, excuse me, Councilman Williams again.
Mayor, I am very supportive of item 43. It's the photo red light and speed enforcement contract with Red Flag. I have been very familiar with them. They are a District 1 company and have been very responsible, so I move approval.
I'll second.
We have a motion on item number 43. We have a second, renewal of our photo red light and speed enforcement program. Comments by Greta Rogers. Greta, do you have comments on this item? Followed Greta will be Diane Barker, followed by TJ, only if necessary. So I'll leave it up to you at the end whether you want to provide additional testimony.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Greta Rogers. And before I begin my comments on 43, I just want to say I wanted to thank James Scarborough on number 30 for his excellent, productive, and effective work in improving and bringing our procurement policy to common sense and lawfully written policy. It was no small task, and belatedly I thank Jeff DeWitt too, because he was responsible for bringing James with us.
Thank you,
Now,
Greta.
on photo red light, I have a question. We used to have a photo red light at 48th and Ray. in Ahwatukee, the busiest intersection in the community of 80+ thousand people. If we don't have one now, people have told me it was removed some years ago. I want it replaced. That's the busiest, most frenetic intersection in Ahwatukee, and it will be a definite safety asset. And also, all of you, please speak into your mics. This isn't a living room or pillow talk in the bedroom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rogers. I don't want to speak for professional staff. We have a finite number of the intersection cameras, and they do occasionally get moved around, and it's not in any way a politicized decision. It's a decision made by professional staff. By the way, this contract would allow us to engage in some new technologies that the red light running companies are bringing to market, including Halo and other things that I think will probably be brought before some of these subcommittees to examine whether or not the city of Phoenix wants to be a leader city in some of those arenas. It does not increase the number of red light cameras. That would be a separate policy decision in the future if we want to expand the program. But it does allow us to bring some of the new technologies that are being entered into the marketplace to the city of Phoenix. And Mr. Scarborough, congratulations. She's one tough customer, and those are nice words for you. Diane Barker.
Yes, Mayor. Diane Barker, District 7. In regards to this contract, I didn't see there were two proposers, but typically the city gives the name of the other one, and I didn't see that, and I was interested in that. The other
Do we know the answer to that? Is that public or not public? I apologize.
Mr. Scarborough can discuss the submittals.
Mayor, members of the council, the city received two offers in response to solicitation RFP 14021. One was from Redflex Traffic Systems, and the other was from Gatso USA.
Go ahead.
Okay. And I'm happy that Greta is supporting the way that the RFPs are handled. I know that typically, as far as our code goes, is it was pretty much like administrative code more than a manual. So if Greta's giving the go-ahead, I'll ditto that. And the other thing is when it comes to contracts, and I recently read the proposed Ford Transit, the city has so much power over the contractor. Use it, and when necessary, get the records. All the records are supposed to be available. We shouldn't have to go to the federal government to get the records of a contractor that the city is over supervision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ed Teague, TJ is here to answer any questions that are necessary. Did you wish to speak representing the recommended applicant? Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Any comments or questions by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
No.
Gallego.
No.
Gates.
No.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela. Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. So I think it's a 5-4 vote. It passes. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 44.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on 44? Second. Ms. Rogers, item 44.
All right, you don't need me anymore, I can go.
This is Park Preserve property up in the far north Sonoran Preserves area. This should be continued. And the reason is, I suggest to wait on this purchase. It's tight money time, and I know this is capital improvement funds, but that doesn't mean that it's free to use anytime the Spirit moves you. Wait until we have equivalent property sales and go ahead and pay cash for it at that time and not use it for capital improvement funds. It's an acquisition. It is not a capital improvement. And there's no hurry because nobody's going to build anything on a pile of rock. It's a mountain preserve. So exercise some frugality and intelligent fiscal policy restraint. Continue this until we have property sold and cash in hand, and then buy it. Nobody's going to buy it for anything else. No other city. It'll still be there. God put it there long before any of us were put on this earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rogers. We have a motion. We have a second. Any comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passed unanimously. Next item, Vice Mayor.
Move approval, item 53.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Clark, did you have testimony on 53? He's still here. Any other comments by members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Councilman Pastor? Your vote? Yes, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing.
Valenzuela. Williams.
Yes.
Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item 54, Councilman Williams.
I would move approval as corrected.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on 54. Ms. Rogers? You got it.
Mayor and council, sometimes I wonder if any of you ever read these things and question the necessity and or the veracity of it, the reasonableness of it. We have rented Phoenix Muni, a stadium that probably holds somewhere around 20,000 people. I haven't been there in years, but I'm just taking an outside guess. We're renting it to ASU for $2,000 a month. That is no more market rate than I am a model for Vogue magazine. That's asinine. It's giving it away. And I handled leases for a long time when I had my license and practiced real estate. My tenants were responsible for grounds maintenance. And if they didn't, there was penalty to be paid. And don't think I didn't exercise it. ASU's renting this, they're using it, they can cut the grass, they can put the weed spray on, they can paint the lines, they can do whatever they want. But it's their responsibility to maintain the grounds. Infrastructurally, no. That's an owner's responsibility. This isn't infrastructure, this is part of the property for maintenance, weekly, if not more frequently. I oppose this, and I ask you to think reasonably and not just say, yes, 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 times 9.
Thank you very much. You raise good points, Ms. Rogers, but I think that doesn't apply to this case. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, yes, I'll ask Deputy Parks Director Inger Erickson to come up if there's more in-depth questions, but this is not the ASU portion of the Muni part of it. This is the baseball and softball fields outside of it, and so this does not include ASU. Inger?
That is accurate. Mayor and members of the council, this is the Papago softball and baseball complex where the training portion of the complex was. not municipal stadium.
All right, any additional questions for staff? Noting that, I know the packet says District 5, but it actually is in District 6, Councilman.
I wasn't going to clarify that, but that's fine. This is also part of the area that we had talked about, and I floated the idea months ago, actually maybe even last year, I think it was, where Arizona State University could take over these fields. Where are we with that? I know that, and I can talk about a grander plan for that area, but where are we with that?
Currently, ASU is not interested in this portion of the complex. When we do the request for proposal, we can put an out clause in case they come back and are interested in this, or if somebody else might be interested in the future.
Well, they told me specifically that they were interested. They didn't want it to interfere with the negotiations of the Phoenix Muni.
Well, we can follow up with them. At this time, they have not expressed interest to us.
Yeah, and let me give you an idea, and I know we always want to control it all because that's just our nature. But on situations like this, it may be better not to control it. And let me give you a thought of what's occurring. There is a potential of a strong revitalization, because we haven't really talked about it. I talked to Jim about it. In that area, when you bring in a lot of youth, you bring in a lot of college students, you now have the life that area has lacked in so long, which also helps our other iconic Phoenix Zoo, Botanical Gardens, Papago Park. It helps everything out there. Arizona State University had expressed a strong interest in being able to work on those fields to bring in youth to that area. We care about that being used in that area. We can always work out an agreement for City of Phoenix, citizens as well, but there could be an easily a mutual beneficial agreement that we could find in place that bring in a level of activity that helps everybody in that area. Could even help the transit in that area because they use transit to get there. So I would like us to really push hard on that. I'm going to vote for this, but I've got to tell you, it really concerns me that we are not pushing that. And I know Arizona, they were very clear to me that they wanted to find a way to make this work because it's full of part of a total package. Why wouldn't we want to do something like that? So I could to the city manager, and I know there's always territorial issues. I get it. But in this one of those cases that I think it'd be good if we allowed them to kind of just pay their expenses there and open this up to a lot more different individuals than we could see right now. Thanks.
Any other comments? Councilwoman?
I have a question regarding the RFP period, but it's not necessarily, so it may be going to the city manager, directed towards Papago baseball and softball fields. Because I know we are considering, or it's being considered regarding the Maryvale. And so I think Greta brings up a good point in making sure all of that is within that RFP and in that contract. So I guess my question is all this, other than this, because it's outside of the ASU RFP, is that all inclusive in those RFPs when we do these type of things?
Can you clarify, is all what inside it?
Everything, the maintenance, all of it, maintenance, landscape, use of it.
Councilmember Pastor, members of the council, this particular RFP is specifically for maintenance of the facility. The A's have responsibility to the A's have responsibility to take care of it up until January 1st, and in January 1st, we will need to have something in place to maintain the facility. So this particular case, it is just for maintenance.
Right. The answer is yes, that the city is taking care of this, but when we go out to an RFP, once we find an RFP, then yes, they will be maintaining the whole thing.
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
That's what
It's only a one-year contract, is that correct, or not?
What's the length of the contract?
This is a request for proposals. We haven't, I think.
For a one-year contract?
This is
or not?
We haven't really established that yet. Rob Harmon is here from that area, but this is just a request for proposals to see what we'll come up with. We have a specific budget that we have, but we need to have somebody maintain the facilities, and so we need to go out to contract for that.
No, I get it, but my understanding of the way it's written, it's for a one-year contract. Is that correct?
Yes, it can be for a one-year
Okay.
contract, yes. And again, we can have an out clause in case there are other people who come and want to have a part of programming that facility.
Okay. All right. Other comments, questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Waring. Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passes. Next item is item 55, is that correct?
Move approval item 55.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Valenzuela, do you wish to provide comments? This is the apply for, accept, and disperse U.S. Conference of Mayors and St. Luke's Health Initiative Grant Awards. I think this will be for Fit Phoenix.
Right. Thank you, Mayor. This is to apply for up to $150,000 from the U.S. Conference of Mayors and $125,000 from the St. Luke's Health Initiatives Innovation Grants to support the Parks and Recs Department's Fit Phoenix program. Fit Phoenix is great partnerships with many businesses, nonprofits, and other governments. The program has participated in 25 events this calendar year and has generated more than $100,000 in grants and business partnerships in just the last year to support these programs throughout the city. And more information can be found at phoenix.gov/FITPHX. I want to thank John Brodsky, who is the Fit Phoenix coordinator, has been doing just a great job, and thank my colleagues on the council, of course, city staff. Everyone's been doing a great job in this endeavor of just moving the city forward as we do all we can to become the healthiest city. We'd like to be the healthiest city in the country, but there's no reason we can't be the healthiest city Phoenix can be every day. I believe you have a motion and a second. I'll be supporting.
Thank you for your comments and your leadership on Fit Phoenix. Any other comments? Roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there a card on that? Yes, I'm sorry. Leonard Clark, did you wish to comment on this item? I think you may have left earlier. That was the only card. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
Yes.
Williams. Waring.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, item passes. Item 57, Vice Mayor.
Move approval item 57.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Pastor.
I have a potential conflict.
Councilman Pastor's potential conflict will not be participating. Any cards on 57? Ms. Rogers, did you wish to comment on 57?
First of all, I apologize. I was wrong on 54. I misread and thought it was the Muni Stadium. On this, I simply have a question.
Please.
Because at school district meetings that I attended not too many years ago, and reading about SRO officers occasionally in the Ahwatukee Foothills News, when the consideration is up for board to discuss and decide, it's been my understanding that the school districts pay for the SROs, and the discussion has always been because of their funding, like ours and everyone's, being substantially reduced over the last 6 to 7 years, that they can't afford it. So is it commonplace now for municipalities to pick up the tab on this? I
don't know if I use the word commonplace. I wish it was.
I want clarification.
Please, that's a fair question. And I think in many cases, the school district pays for the cost of the police officer. Obviously, we pay for the training and other benefit package. But in some cases, the city does pay for it, or we also do it through federal grants. But Mr. City Manager, have any additional information than that?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the SRO program generally is paid 75% by the school districts and 25% by the city, which is accounting for the summer months in which the schools aren't in session and the officers are available for broader work.
And this is metropolitan procedure, basically throughout the city?
This is Phoenix's procedure, yes. The
That isn't what I asked you. I asked, is this generally practiced in the metropolitan area, regardless of municipal boundary?
I don't know how other cities do it. All I know is how Phoenix does it.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Gallego.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Noakowski. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Mayor Stanton.
Yes. New business, Vice Mayor.
Move approval items 69 and 71.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Item 70, Councilwoman Gallego, did you want to make a motion to continue?
Yes, Mayor. This item deals with convention center parking, and we are working very hard on downtown parking issues. We have a lot of opportunities for improvement in parking, and although the convention center manages parking separately from the metering program, I think we're going to have a technology solution that will help us with parking meters, and I would love to have the chance to look at that and see if there's any way we can integrate all of our parking across downtown. So I was hopeful we could look at this at the Downtown Aviation Subcommittee once we have a little bit more information, which we would have before our next Downtown Aviation Subcommittee meeting.
The motion
So
for
move to
continuance?
continue.
Do you have a second?
I'll second. As chair of the Downtown Aviation Redevelopment Subcommittee, I
We have to pick a
want to
date.
support my colleague's request.
I guess, would it be a continue or to send?
The question, well, I think we continue it here, and then the item can be sent to subcommittee before coming back. So we just make sure it's the meeting after the subcommittee meeting. So what meeting would that be?
Probably you need the November 19th? November 19th? There's one on the 19th.
Okay. Is 19th okay? And that give enough time to go to subcommittee?
Good.
Yes.
Sam says it, so it's got to be true.
Calendar has to work.
All right, good. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 72, Councilman Valenzuela. This is on the,
Yeah.
all right, this is on the planning and zoning agenda now.
Right. I'm going to make a motion to continue to December 3rd.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
David Hall wishes to support that motion to continue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. This meeting is officially adjourned. Vice Mayor is going to stay for the rest of citizens' requests. I've got my son's soccer practice. Got to go.
First speaker is Franco Harbre. Mr. Harbre, are you here?